3 months ago, I had a couple of lessons with Ken. And Ken had a couple of fairly significant issues which needed addressing because he was obviously struggling with his game. And those two issues were, first and foremost, his grip. Okay, so he had what we call a very weak grip. So his left hand was almost underneath the shaft with the V that's created between your thumb and your forefinger pointing almost outside his left shoulder. His right hand was then on top of the club with the palm of his hand facing the ground. So at the address, the right arm was significantly above the left arm. So we've got two big problems there. With the arms located in that position at address, it's going to create a movement where the club works violently across the ball from the outside to the inside. And the other thing, of course, is the position of his hands on the club was tending to introduce the club head to the ball in an incredibly open, fanned out position, which is going to cause him to slice the ball significantly to the right. So that was the first issue. And the second one was what we were doing during impact and post impact. And that was, historically, he had a big leg slide where the left side was literally collapsing into the ball and his hips weren't able therefore to clear. So that was again presenting big problems. So we worked on what we call posting up. So getting the left leg coming into impact, working upwards. Now, not only is that using the ground effectively to create more power into the back of the ball, but also helping to get the left hip working behind him so that he's got more space to swing his arms through the ball. So, that's all we did, just simple as that. Worked on the grip to square the club face up more effectively, and also to get the arms in a more neutral position at address and not the right side right on top of the left, and then getting his lower body working much more effectively so that he could create more space to get his arms working through towards the target on his follow through.
Ken, that is so much better.
Yeah, but it's all down to you, Simon.
Man, I tell you.
No, it's down to you. This is only what you've told me.
Right, but you've obviously worked very hard.
Oh, I have worked
It's
hard.
So different.
But there's no sense in paying for a lesson if you're not going to listen, is it?
Well, no, absolutely no.
And I always listen, yeah.
You do.
And what I said to the boys in there is that you would see you on a practice area and you would look at you and say, come over and give you advice without actually saying, oh, book another lesson.
No.
And that's the difference.
Yeah, because I want to help you.
Yeah, that's the difference. That means a lot.
Enjoy your golf and play that.
And that's why I never understand people that will pay 300 quid for a club
Yeah.
without having a lesson.
Sure.
It's a waste of money.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And I always tell them that as well. It's like a putter says you can pay 400 quid for a putter. If you can't putt with a cheap one, you can't putt with a dear one.
Sure.
You know? Right, here we go.
So much better, just ridiculously better. Like it.
Yeah, but like I
Sounds
said-
different.
Oh, I get so much. The thing is, what I'm getting is the power,
Yeah.
and I'm also getting the accuracy, which makes a lot of difference to me.
I mean, you basically got the club reaching the ball flush on, so you're compressing it better, and it's coming out a lot faster off the club face. Yeah, that's just so different to where you were. Well done.
No, you're well done. I'm just copying what you told me.
Well,
to do.
you still got to do it. One more. Very good. Really good, Ken. Well done.
No, you're well done.
Okay, what I've seen from Ken here is over a period of a few months a massive improvement. Hopefully you can see just by looking at the existing video of a good few months back and now. There's a massive change in his movement. And that has been predominantly down to the way, very simply, he holds the golf club. So historically, when I first met Ken, he had a grip which was what we call incredibly weak. The positioning of the hands on the club were very much to the left side here. So the palm of his left hand was facing more or less at the sky, the palm of his right hand was facing more or less at the floor, and if you can see that there, that is what we call a very weak position of the hands on the golf club, which also relates to being able to see my left arm is now underneath my right,
and my forearms are pointing way, way down the left side of the golf course. That in itself was causing Ken a whole load of issues. And then he was having to respond to that by trying to get the club head back to the ball squarely to hit the thing one straight, but any sort of distance. So, although he still has a slightly weak grip, which is fine because we can't push that too far and it suits him and it's working really well, all we've done very simply is rotated both of his hands clockwise around the club, so we've got a much more conventional, neutral looking club, so that his palms are not only facing each other, but the palm of the right hand is facing in the direction of the target. All of a sudden, he doesn't have to square the club face up so much in his downswing to get the club back on the ball, because historically it was so open he had to literally flip his hands at it, not move his hips to square the club off. Now, with that really nice, much improved grip, the club face is in a much squarer position at the top of the backswing, and therefore he doesn't have to work so hard with his hands to square the club off, and he can now start to turn his body to the target, which also helps to square the club up, and it's so much more powerful because he's meeting the ball with a squarer club face, therefore compressing the ball rather than having the club face wide open and having to work his hands back at it. So different sound, different trajectory, much further, much more consistent. Brilliant job, Ken. I mean, absolutely fantastic. You've done really well.
It's all down to you, Simon.
My
All
pleasure.
down to you.
My pleasure. No, it takes two, but at the end of the day, you put a lot of work in, and it's paid off. So well done.
Thank you.